That's helpful. Right, thank you. Okay, meeting is open. Good evening, everyone, to the meeting of Oswestry Town Council on the 12th of March 2025. Good to see you all. Item 1 on the business of the meeting is public participation. So we've got several members of the public in this evening. Does anyone have anything they wish to say? We've got 15 minutes and you're each allowed 3 minutes each. So please try and keep it brief, or if you've got a spokesperson who can speak for everyone, if there's a group, that would be helpful.
I believe I might be a couple of weeks late for this, but here goes. I've written it down so I don't take too long. Myself and a lot of the residents around 103 Cabin Lane have registered objections on the planning portal to the change of use from C3 to C2, a children's home. While we recognise the need for good quality children's home, we do not believe it's the right place for such a facility. There are many objections detailing problems with lack of parking, extra traffic, location in a quiet area right opposite Senior Citizens Bungalow and near a bus stop and a cycle path, but also residents have concerns about possible antisocial behaviour and excessive noise. The age range of the home is another concern, catering for children up to 17 who are much more likely to cause problems. A much better location would be one that's not in a quiet residential area, away from a busy road with dedicated parking and more space around it. If there are then any issues, they won't affect the tranquility of a peaceful estate. So it was disappointing when we noted a comment from Oswestry Town Council simply supporting the application. I listened to the audio recorded in the meeting where the proposal was discussed. It was first noted that I thought there might have been some members of the public here, but there's not, and then the neighbours don't want it, but everyone else does. But I was even more dismayed to listen to Councillor Maguire telling the meeting that the residents that did have concerns have now had their concerns put to rest. This is absolutely not true. There are 20 objections on the portal, including one from a doctor. At least 20 residents who have not had their concerns put to rest. There's been no consultation, no letters explaining anything, including maybe council meetings that we should have been at. How are we supposed to know about going if we've not been consulted? No one has visited myself or any of the people who have objected, because I've spoken to most of them, apart from one elderly lady who took a petition against the home around Grosvenor Road collecting signatures. I believe she was visited by Councillor Schofield, who I don't know who that is, after which she changed her mind. The petition was taken away. Is there any mention of this petition anywhere? After the council's decision, I myself emailed Councillor Schofield, who actually rang me back and asked what my problem with the home was. I told him it wasn't just me, but a lot of people objected to it on the grounds given above, but nothing more has come of that. So I find it inconceivable that councillors could think we're now all unconcerned about it. I just want to make sure that our objections are noted, as we all live very close to the property and have valid concerns that the council should at least be aware of. Even the Highways Department have issues with the parking and traffic and have noted that online as on the portal. I trust the Shropshire Planning Committee to come to a sensible decision, whether it be to deny the application, approve it with safeguards, or even to limit the age of the children there. But this relies on them having all of the relevant information. If the planning meeting takes it as read that all of the residents near 103 are happy due to what has been said in the Town's Council meeting, then we will have all been completely ignored. There's simply been no consultation on this matter, despite all the objections made on the planning portal. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much for coming in and speaking. I know it's not an easy thing to do. It's very limited what I can say in reply.
Before that, has anybody else wanted to speak? Do you want to speak as well? So
oh yeah, of course.
I think it's the same subject.
Yeah.
We want to express our significant concerns around the proposed development and the manner in which it has been presented by Oswestry Town Council. Our community has serious reservations that need to be addressed before any further progress is made. The following points summarise our issues. The handling of this matter by the Town Council has been deeply troubling. Misinformation was presented at the meeting in February 2025, including false claims that councillors had visited residents. Therefore, we couldn't have said we changed our mind and are supporting a proposal when we haven't spoken to anybody from the council. This misinformation has left many feeling unheard and disillusioned, as it appears that genuine community concerns are being ignored. Councillor Les Maguire told me that Councillor Chris Schofield went to a resident's house on Cabin Lane to collect a petition. Why wasn't this taken into account, and where is this petition now? The unrealistic age range of 4 to 17 years is too broad and impractical. It is not feasible to house young children alongside teenagers. This raises questions about the intended demographic of the development. If it is indeed to house teenagers, then such an approach could lead to antisocial behaviour, jeopardising the safety and well-being of our community. The proposed property design doesn't align with the established character of our neighbourhood. The development appears to resemble a commercial property, especially with the inclusion of extra car parking spaces, rather than a community-focused residential area. This stark contrast risks undermining the unique identity of our locale. There is a significant concern regarding the additional car parking spaces and the likely increase in traffic. These changes are expected to exacerbate existing parking issues on Cabin Lane and Grosvenor Road, further impacting the daily lives of residents. In light of these concerns, we urge the Oswestry Town Council to re-evaluate the proposal with greater transparency and genuine committee consultation. We request a detailed explanation addressing age range, design, suitability, and measured plans to mitigate car parking and traffic problems. It is imperative that the Council listens to the voices of the residents and work collaboratively to ensure that any development benefits the community without compromising its character or safety.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anna, you've got a statement as well. Thank you.
Looking at the 17 supporting comments, I find it quite, I would say that only 3 are true neighbours with only a vested interest in the planning application. A typical example of the comments on the Shropshire portal. 2 comments made by Shropshire from Oswestry Council, the same comment twice, so that's 17 down to 15. One person's written, I live close to Cabin Lane, but don't say where they live in Cabin Lane. As one person has said, along with my wife, we park in Cabin Lane when the park runs on and think the house would be a nice building. Why are they driving to a park run if they're locals? The next the next person's written, myself and many more of us park near the property when we're on taking the park run. Again, the same questions could be asked. Another person said, who's the property owner, supports it. No obvious reasons why that is. The next person, he knows Oswestry and Cabin Lane well and is familiar with the property. The next person has written, well done to the company for finding this property. Well, clearly they're a member of the staff. Another person has written, having worked for the care provider, so they're clearly a member of staff. Another person has written, I previously lived in Cabin Lane, witnessed children misusing drugs, stealing from shops, disrespecting the elderly, fighting, and they're also aware of adults being arrested for violence, images of children, sale of drugs and damaging property. The next person has written, what a wonderful opportunity for looked after children to live in a safe, secure home in our community. Well, if you read the previous comment, it's not safe. And then one person, I could go on, but one other person has written, objections based on community impact, property values, parking and safety. These are all based on misconceptions, subjective fears. I can guarantee my property is devalued as a result of this. Can you please have an audit on the 17 supporting comments? Because I don't believe at least 14 of them are true. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much indeed for speaking. Are you wanting to speak as well? No. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Obviously, this is a very difficult and sensitive issue, and I take on board everything that you've said. Planning matters like this they always bring up strong feelings and strong concerns, which, like you say, are perfectly valid. The majority of the concerns that you're raising, however, are Shropshire Council concerns. They are the planning authority who will make the decision. Oswestry Town Council is simply asked if they would like to comment on the planning applications within our area. The meeting that was held was advertised in the normal way. Unfortunately, it doesn't always. It's not always picked up by residents, even though you may well be very, very concerned about a particular application. If you're not obviously checking the Town Council website or looking in places that we advertise it, you won't necessarily know when our planning meetings are held, which is unfortunate, because had you been at that meeting and raised your concerns, then clearly the outcome may have been different. But the meeting was held in accordance with all our procedures and policies, and the comment that the Town Council submitted was made in good faith, based on the information that councillors had in front of them at that meeting. Unfortunately, I can't really go further than that. We are unable to speak about the matter as a council this evening. To do so, it would require suspending our standing orders to revisit a decision that had been made within the last 6 months. But to suspend standing orders, it does require that 2/3 of councillors are present, and unfortunately we are one short of that number. So we can't discuss that now. So my only advice to you is to contact your local town councillor or Shropshire councillor, raise these issues. If you want to contact me, and I would be happy to raise these issues for you as well, with your Shropshire councillor, because it's only your Shropshire councillor that can request that this application is looked at through the Northern Planning Committee, which would give you another opportunity to attend a meeting and hear that process and the outcome. So I deeply regret how this has happened, and I understand your frustrations and your concerns. But unfortunately, on this occasion, our rules don't allow us to revisit and discuss again a matter that is within the last 6 months. But please do forward to me any correspondence that you think's relevant, and I can take the matter up with your local Shropshire councillor, if you feel that would be useful. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you for coming, and thank you for raising your concerns, because getting feedback from the public is obviously really important to us, and we're always looking at ways of improving the communication and making sure that residents are aware of the meetings that we're holding. But if we could do better, then we're always trying to get that message out there. And
would it have been hard for somebody to have come out and knocked on people's doors and said, this is what's going to happen?
well, because we're not the planning authority, we don't routinely inform residents of planning applications and when our meetings are being held on particular applications in each resident's area. We just don't have the capacity to do that. Shropshire Council are the ones responsible for making the correct advertisements that a planning application has been submitted. I know in the past it used to be routine that they would send letters to every property within a certain distance, but I don't think that's a legal requirement, and it does not seem to happen anymore.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Is it a deliberate act that a councillor is not here tonight to scupper the agenda being carried over?
I can't speak to that, unfortunately. I've not had
Clearly it shouldn't be on the agenda, should it? If there's not enough people here.
Oh, right, I see what you mean. No, as far as I know, and we'll move on to apologies shortly, but I'm not aware that, I very much doubt it. I know my colleagues, and I don't think, no, that's a bit too conspiratorial.
It seems to be the whole journey of this planning, doesn't it?
planning is not a very public-friendly process. I do appreciate that, but thank you for coming anyway.
Do we forward the details to you, please?
Yeah, I don't know if I've got cards on me.
Oh, we didn't have that pressed.
Yeah. Thanks, Aaron. No, I don't. Sorry about that, but yeah, if you could. Thank you. Right. Okay, it's 7:15. We've timed it perfectly to the end of public session. So, item 2 is apologies for absence. Have you remembered to put the dot in my? If you're using mine.
I said, are you Mike Dot?
My dot, yeah, because for some reason without the dot it wouldn't work, like everyone else's.
Are you going to start? Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, but my email is on the website as well, so
I'll find it.
yeah, thank you. Okay, we'll just hang on for Aaron to come back for apologies. Pardon. Okay, just waiting for the apologies.
I do apologise. Apologies for absence from Councillor Chadwick, Councillor Price, Councillor Milner, Councillor Radford and Councillor Wadey.
Okay. Move we note the apologies. All in favour? Sorry, Councillor Jones?
I see on Facebook that Councillor Stackhouse is in Australia since September. Has she gone over the 6 months limit? And then we haven't seen Councillor Cassin for over 6 months either. Could we check that they've still valid councillors, please? And it's not I'm not very happy that a councillor goes to Australia for 6 months and doesn't represent her parishioners. I mean, it doesn't seem right to me.
Yeah, we'll recheck our records. We do keep a record of member attendance. I don't really want to pass any comment about individual councillors' attendance without the information to hand. But you know, the assumption is they're all within the 6 month rule. And clearly, as we get close to the election, you know, those rules are less important because. Yeah, because you're all up for election, aren't you?
Okay, thank you. Item 2B, disclosure of councillors' interests in any matters in relation to the Code of Conduct. So I'll look to my left. Sorry. Okay. Nothing for you. Okay. Anybody else? No, thank you. Item 3, the minutes of council meeting held on the 12th of February 2025. Any comments, questions or amendments? No? Councillor Upton.
Move we adopt.
Thank you. I'll second. All in favour? Thank you very much. The Audit, Procurement and Performance Panel to note the attached minutes and recommendations of the meeting held on the 13th of February 2025. Again, any comments, questions or amendments? Nope. Move we note then. Oh, sorry, Councillor Jones.
Yeah, it was an excellent meeting. I thought there was quite a good few of us there, senior councillors. I think we had a good discussion, and I think we certainly helped the town council and the town clerk over the way forwards over various things. So it was a good meeting.
Good to hear. Thank you. Anyone else? No. All in favour of noting the minutes then? Thank you. Item 5, Future Oswestry Group. Again to note the draft notes of the Future Oswestry Group meeting held on the 6th of February 2025. Any comments, questions? Councillor Owen.
I just wanted to query what MOU in the governance thing, just to query, because I wasn't quite sure what the abbreviation stood for.
Memorandum of Understanding. Well, now you've had the memo. Something like that. Yeah. Okay, well, we note those then. All in favour? Thank you very much. And item 6, to answer any questions in accordance with standing orders upon which formal notice has been given.
No questions.
Oh, I was hoping that there'd be one. No. Item 7, green generation energy networks, Cymru Fernwy Frankton project. So there's a statutory consultation in accordance with relevant legislation regarding this project of a new 132 kilovolt electricity distribution connection. So I guess that means pylons and cables from a collector substation near Kevin Koch in Powys to the National Electricity Transmission Network. The connection would connect new renewable energy generation in Powys to the National Electricity Network for supply to homes and businesses. We have the information in Appendix B. Councillor Owen.
I think we're all generally in favour of having renewable energy. We shouldn't put issues in front of that. However, if anyone's looked at the route, it does sort of go right through a lot of our neighbouring parishes, splitting farms in half. It goes. I think we should object to this, as it's a matter of it will impact people who come to Oswestry and work in Oswestry, and especially with the market in our town, some of these farmers are from that area, and I feel we desperately do need to issue an objection, purely because there are other alternatives that you can bury them underground, which will reduce the impact of it. You should look at a smaller scale of where you are splitting farms in and try and go around, so you're not directly and splitting specific people's properties into. I know it is more difficult, but at the end of the day, this is going to be a project which will be around for 50 years while the pylons are there. We can't just... I'm mumbling now because I've forgotten what I was going to say, so I do apologise. But purely, I feel like we should object to and ask that they do consider whether they can put the cables underground. And that's my motion, is to object and ask them to put it underground.
Thank you. Objection on the grounds of the impact it'll have on the landscape and the impact it'll have on people who live in the area, and that viable alternatives are available. Thank you. Councillor Kerr and then Councillor Jones.
Yeah, I'm not too sure why this is even on the agenda. Clearly, it doesn't involve any land within the province of Oswestry. And if we're going to start commenting on issues that involve other parish councils, we're going to have a very, very long agenda. I mean, clearly, there is a huge amount of documentation behind this, and I don't think we can make a decision in favour or against it without looking at that documentation. That would be misuse of our time and powers, really. It is a complex matter. Clearly, all of us would want it to be underground in sensitive areas, but the idea the whole lot can be underground, well, that's clearly going to be prohibitively expensive. It's actually very damaging as well to dig up that much ground to try to bury it as well. So, I mean, as in other areas of the country, I fully accept that in certain sensitive areas they should be underground. I would be quite happy to say no comment on this. I don't think we've got the information. I don't think you've challenged. Have you read? Anybody who's going to vote to object to it, have they actually read all the documentation? And if they haven't read the documentation, how do they know that what they're proposing is remotely feasible? Do they know the complexities, the cost, the carbon impact of digging that amount of ground out? And if they don't know that, then I don't think they're doing their duties as a public representative by coming to a decision either way. So I feel we should just note it. We'll see how it develops, and it's a matter perhaps for the area committee, because it does cross land that's in the area committee, also the area committee's area, but it doesn't cost any land in Oswestry Town Council. And if we start looking at applications outside, who knows where we'd end up.
Thank you, and I do apologise. I did not ask if there was a seconder for Councillor Owen's proposal. Councillor Upton, thank you. I'll get the hang of this soon. Councillor Jones.
Well, I'd like to object, but I don't think it's going to do much good. I think we need to try and I'm a keen one that we have energy at source. There's a lot of farms, a lot of places that we could put solar on, which we haven't yet, and the government seemed to, you know, the Conservative government many years ago did put a subsidy and a tariff for putting solar panels on roofs and whatever, and I think we should bring that back, because this is transporting energy sort of 60 miles. Obviously, it loses energy whilst doing it. It doesn't actually split any farms. They go over the top of the farms, obviously. But digging them underground isn't the best thing in the world. It does cause a lot of mayhem for farms. It could split a farm up for 2 or 3 years while they do it. So you don't put a mould drain in the ground and put a power line underneath. It's a bigger job than that. So I'd like to object about it, but I'm not sure what we can do about it other than that.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Coburn.
My understanding is that it's a consultation rather than a plan, and I'm not sure we can object. Is the motion to put our objections in as to the consultation rather than to object to? Is that just clarification?
Councillor Owen.
As it's a consultation, we can submit a comment as a public body, as far as I'm aware, and therefore the motion is to submit, as from Oswald Street Town Council, our views.
Okay, thank you. Any comments on the procedure then, Aaron?
Yeah. So I've been written to directly, which is why this is on the agenda. It is a consultation, not a planning decision. You know, my advice would be the best approach would be to provide a narrative rather than objections at this point. But that's to say we are concerned about certain issues, and our preference would be for you to work around them. So provide a narrative at this point, but it's entirely up to you. There's a motion that's been seconded that you need to deal with.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Anyone else wish to speak? Or Councillor Davis?
Yeah, just very quickly. Whatever the concerns, it'd be very difficult to do anything with this development consent order. You know, they've got this far with it. They would have done a lot of homework and background on it. I've worked on these before, and getting anything changed on it is probably virtually impossible now. If you want to, I don't mind either way. I don't agree with it, totally don't agree with it, but with it being of the DCO, some of the other councillors might know, the overall the planning inspector in Bristol have the final say on it, and it'll be rubber stamped.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, I you know, if this was to come back in the future and we'd, you know, made a concrete objection, I just wonder if it would partly tie our hands a little bit further on. So would the mover care to adjust the language?
I'm happy to adjust it to not object, but purely issue
Raise
our comments
concerns
that
and
we would
request
prefer that they look at alternative methods,
Yeah,
purely due to the impact that it will have.
yeah. Is that okay? Is the seconder happy? Yeah. Thank you. Right, okay, so there's been a proposal then that we raise concerns around the impact on the landscape and local residents, and the wider impact on the area in terms of visitors, etc., and that we request that the company does all in its power to mitigate those concerns, especially in the most sensitive landscape areas. And that we submit that comment and ask that those comments are taken into consideration. Okay, all in favour? Thank you. That'll be unanimous then. Okay. Item 8 then, another consultation on proposed parking restrictions and traffic calming in Oswestry. So a couple of things. It's parking restrictions in the form of yellow lines, double yellow lines, and no loading lines around the Cabin Lane shopping parade and Eastern Oswestry Community Centre and that roundabout there. Appendixes C and D and E, and then the zebra crossing proposed on Unicorn Road with a raised table. All plans are attached. Hopefully, councillors. Who had their hand up first? Councillor Owen. Go on.
Obviously, I think I've made myself public already on what my views are of the consultation happening with the works already either having taken place or in the process of taking place. At this point, it's nice to have been asked after it's been done. If the residents did want anything changed, it would now cost more, which then immediately puts a barrier into basically what the residents of the area actually feel in that area should be done or shouldn't be done. They've raised concerns of it moving the problem onto Cabin Lane. We've heard today about Park Run that do park there on Sundays, which are raised with me. I've spoken to the Park Run people themselves who do ask them to park in a car park further away. You can't make everybody do that, and it's going to be a similar problem here where, despite what the school asks people to do, people are going to park just outside the single yellow lines onto Cabin Lane, it's a problem in itself, because trying to cross Cabin Lane when there's cars parked there, especially on corners and right close to that roundabout, you can't see cars coming. And I feel like they should have at least, they're putting zebra crossings or implied zebra crossings in several areas around there, including the one on Unicorn Road. I feel like residents there have expressed that they'd also want one near the roundabout to reduce the issues that they're having on that roundabout trying to cross, and you're just going to exacerbate it with these lines. So I don't feel like there's much point objecting or issuing comments on this at this point, seeing as it is going to just cost more to try and remedy anything that's on place. So I feel like we should just express our dissatisfaction that the consultations happened after the work has begun, and ask that they do look at potentially having a zebra crossing at some point to allow crossing of Cabin Lane by the roundabout, because that's a specific area that residents do bring up a lot in that area.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Maguire.
Just to say, I do agree with some of what Councillor Owen has just said. With regard, I'll go to the crossing first of all. Obviously, myself and a few other councillors have campaigned for a very long time for the crossing on both Unicorn Road and on Cabin Lane. The one that you're referring to on Cabin Lane, I would have preferred it to be closer to the roundabout, but on doing the research and speaking to councillors and portfolio holders, etc., to put it too close to that roundabout would cause too many issues, because as you come off that roundabout, you wouldn't necessarily see in time, because there is a slight bend as well as you come round. It's too close is what I was told. Ideally, that is my preferred place, but the fact that we are getting one there is of a benefit. Obviously, that safeguards the children and the elderly people, any resident crossing such road. The one down Unicorn Road, that was a lot of residents specified that there'd be a speed hump, so it does both. There's a speed hump and a zebra crossing, so that's another benefit. I will agree with you on the yellow lines, but on reflection, and as you will know if you've been in the ward a lot yourself, during school times and after school times, getting your children out safely in such a well, mayhem, if you like, because there's cars everywhere, people dropping cars off. It is difficult. But as you say, where else are people supposed to park? Because there's no provisions for parking for this school. There is nothing. There's 2 car parks obviously available, but I would ask that when Shropshire Council do this, or if they go through with this, that they speak to the car park holders, those that have the car parks, to make sure that they are available for parents to drop their children off. Because as you rightfully say, it's just going to congest Cabin Lane further. At the moment, they can park on them white lines because they're staggered white lines. The restrictions don't stop them from parking on them lines unless they change them later on as a solid white line. And if they do that, it just makes a problem even more worse. So as it has its pros and it has its cons. I mean, a lot of residents have said to me that they are concerned that where they're going to drop their children off, which is pretty obvious. So I would just ask that we ask Shropshire Council to make sure there's provisions for children to be dropped off, be it in the car parks. Well, it has to be the car parks. That's the only availability to it.
Okay, thank you. So, oh, sorry, Councillor Davis.
Yeah, just very quickly, why can't they, instead of saying they can't cut the grass, why can't they put some parking in the roundabout in the middle? Safe, simple, drive in, park, kids out, drive away.
Nice idea.
Wasted space, why not use it?
Well-
All right, costs a bit more money. Just need suggesting and pushing.
Well, you feel free. So yeah, we've got dissatisfaction that the consultation seems to be happening, you know, well after the decisions have been taken. But I think a good suggestion that the nearby car parks are made available at school drop-off and pick-up times. I think that's quite a valid suggestion, really, especially because one of them is for the Eastern Oswestry Community Centre, isn't it? So that's in the control of Shropshire Council, as far as I'm... Is it not?
It's a private car park.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Right, okay, but the questions can still be asked, can't they? I guess, but then it probably comes down to insurance. Have I missed anything? Councillor Coburn?
Just in that if you are going to use that car park for people coming in and out, the access is not great. If you've got cars coming in and going out at the same time, that's going to, if there's already mayhem, that's just going to increase the mayhem there.
Does the school have staggered starting and finishing times?
No.
Okay, because that can also relieve congestion.
The Shropshire Council puts at the school that
Yeah.
staggered.
Yeah, we could ask that could be looked at in terms of feasibility as well. Does anyone else have anything to add? No? Okay, so I think but broadly welcoming any efforts to improve road safety. But yeah, disappointment in the consultation happening so late. Awareness that it'll probably move the problem on elsewhere. Can the car parks be made available for use, and can the school be asked about staggered starting and finishing times?
The other one, which has been a long-standing, has been on, there was a notice of motion several years ago, and it was on the areas of community concern list, was that zebra crossing. So do you want to add a comment about, you know, that a zebra crossing is needed?
A zebra crossing is still required on Cabin Lane.
It's going to be on Cabin Lane, but it should be closer.
Yeah.
Doesn't mention.
So there's two goes. It's not a zebra crossing, it's a crossing that it's going up. It's a crossing that's going up.
Yeah, sure.
So the one on Cabin Lane's an implied zebra crossing. So there's not going to be the beacons. So therefore there's no actual traffic restriction. And there's no requirement for drivers to actually stop at them. There will be white lines on the road. And they can stop because they see white lines, but
okay,
it's effectively just the implied crossing rather than an actual
and that's
zebra
part
crossing.
of this.
No, it's not actually. I don't think it's.
No,
one
it's
of
not
these,
part of this consultation.
because it's not a change of restriction.
Right.
It's an implied zebra crossing, so you can't change the restriction. As
Okay.
It's not actually changing. It's a car can mow down pedestrians.
So it's a request that is made to be a full zebra crossing. Is that?
I think.
Are we going a bit?
Yeah, I think there's a recognition that a crossing closer to the school would be beneficial for parents. I think is what we're saying. Where they put it, that's down to highway engineers, isn't it? Not us. So I think there's a recognition that safer crossing, e.g. a zebra crossing, I think we get all that.
Thank you. All in favour? Thank you. Right. Okay. 9. We have reports from the Town Clerk on the Oswestry Town Council projects. First of all, we've had that in the report.
Yes, so there's a number of updates for you to consider in there. A few things I'll be pleased to be taking off the list shortly. So I think you can see the significant resource that goes in. Just a couple from the list to report on. No progress on the skate park pump track. However, I have, that there is a possibility of exploring Gattaca as an option, so I am pursuing conversations on that as an alternative. Reducing dog fouling. Those who came to the annual town meeting realise I referenced that as an issue. We have got some signs to go up, and we have got a stencil that will now enable us to sort of highlight where it's a big issue. So that's good progress. Good progress against the market and the upgrades. The floor was done. Really pleased with how that was managed by the team. I'm sure there's a question about the bus shelters on Willow Street and Blackgate Street. Henry, do you want to give an answer on those? No. Yeah, you might as well do it now.
Yeah, it's still in hand. Unfortunately, we've been having some communications issues with the contractor that was selected to begin with. We are being a bit more forceful now with our communications to them to try and get this moving forward as quickly as possible. We've spoken with local transport providers. They've requested at least a 2-week notice period of when the work's starting, but it needs to go through planning. So the planning application will take some time as well.
Okay, thank you. But progress being made, though.
Yeah, but you know, the disappointment having selected a contractor that for a member of staff went off poorly, and the whole system ground to a halt with no communication, no understanding where we were at. So we've been very disappointed. Also, just pleased to let you know that we've started installing secondary glazing in the building, and it has made a noticeable difference. So we're going room by room to avoid disruption. They are having to be built, each one individually. I've been astounded by how little impact they've had on the visual appearance of the windows. It's been a great piece of work, something we possibly should have done several years ago. So yeah, we should see a reduction in our energy bills. And just finally, review of our HR policies is ongoing. But that's not what I wanted to update you on. At the last meeting I talked to you about CCTV, and I need to give you a little bit more of an update on that. So there's a partnership established, which is how the CCTV came into force, but it's become evident over recent years and certainly up to date that this is squarely the Oswestry Town Council system. We need to obviously make sure it's a resilient system. I've talked about that both in the short term and the long term, and this includes the role of the CCTV coordinator. You're aware, former Inspector Jim Stafford has been carrying out the role forever. This can't continue indefinitely, and we need to find some way of filling that gap. But equally as important is the status of the volunteers. So volunteers are judged, because they're accessing the police station, they're assessed as police volunteers. However, the police aren't recruiting any volunteers and are not taking anybody through the vetting process, which just means that we're unable to recruit volunteers. So the move, as far as I can see, is to try and have these established as Oswestry Town Council or CCTV volunteers, and we undertake the vetting as long as it's to the police standards. But that's just an avenue being explored. I plan to bring a report back in July, and I will also include, I think I've included it on the agenda for the police partnership, so there's a bit of an update on that. There's a little bit for you to consider on Oswald as well. Fairly straightforward, I think. It does need a little bit of TLC. It is a significant landmark in the town, and it could do more to earn its keep. Put it that way. There's a proposal there being put forward by Oswestry and Bloom, so I think there's a fairly straightforward way forward there. All I'm asking, if you can allocate a budget of £500 from the neglected area enhancement budget, that would be great. Hopefully won't need it all. And then finally, from me, and apologies, so you all will all be aware of the issues around Crestwood Court and the ongoing fly tipping and the misuse of the waste collection point. Need to let you know that the mobile Oswestry Town Council owned mobile CCTV camera has been located there on a short-term basis, has been deployed with the approval of the police. Signage has been implemented as per the Code of Practice, and it has currently gone live today. And I know there's been some concerns about how it's been pointed. That issue's been negated as well, and I've been clear, and I've seen an image which shows that the camera is directly pointing at the waist, and the fly tipping area. Happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Councillor Kerr, I had first.
Yeah, just on CCTV, I think when you come to a view, at least being a new council, have a look at the policy, I think it might be useful to set down a procedure as how we use our mobile CCTV, because I'm conscious we've just delegated it to you, and there's, I'm sure, political differences about where the key priority is, how long it stays there and where it goes, and I'm sure members will probably have differences. So I just think there needs to be some mechanism, it could be for the police partnership panel, whereby members take responsibility, frankly, for that, and doesn't all rest on the clerk, because it is Oswestry Town Council's CCTV, not the police's CCTV, and it's important that we maintain, and we have to stand up to the public about choices as to where it's moved and when it's moved, because I'm sure if it resolves a problem, there'd be a huge clamour to say, we'll keep it here, because it's resolving the problem. But, you know, you've got to weigh that up against another area, and I think it's too difficult a position to put the clerk in, so I'm suggesting a policy, maybe the police partnership panel or some other mechanism, just so you can consult, because it have to be, you can't give the decision away, I know it's yours, but it's yours in consultation, I would suggest. And I'm pleased about the privacy, because I did have when we went on the little walk, Jay, and on an estate visit, didn't we, Jay and Ollie and myself down there, and when I saw the location, I did think, ooh, if I was living I would worry that you could rotate the camera round, so I'm pleased to hear that can't be happened, or a shield. So maybe, I mean, the best would have been to let that person to do some leaflet drops around, so that people who obviously think it could be intrusive know it's not, and who to contact if they have any worries might have been good practice. No, but I'm not critical of any decisions made. It's not here to say. It's just, I think, going forward to try and make sure that we don't ask you to take on too much responsibility.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, having spoken to the CCTV coordinator this afternoon, and he was really pleased that he's managed to get the camera operational, because there were some challenges with it. Yeah, I think we both agree that we need a policy document. There is a process. You know, it has to have the support of the police. There has to be evidence of crime and or antisocial behaviour. In this case, given it's been a multi-agency approach and there's been the bronze level tasking work, it's assumed that there's strong support from the public. However, if a policy needs to reflect that some sort of consultation needs to carry out in that location, so people are aware of it. But yeah, I think it's positive news. I think just I'm confident that decision making is robust on this, but yeah, it does need member input.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Moore then.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I've been involved in this piece of work for quite a while, sort of bringing all the various partners together and trying to tackle the issue of fly tipping down there. It's not been without its complications. There's one of the limitations is that we've only got the one mobile camera. Which means if, as Councillor Kerr just mentioned, if we're putting it in one place, then we're potentially taking it away from another. One of the recommendations I wanted to bring to Council this evening was that we look into the cost of a second camera. I appreciate that some or maybe none of us might not be here by the time that information comes back to the clerk, but I feel like that might be useful information for the next Council to consider. So I would ask that we do that. There was an issue, as I'm sure many of you probably saw, that there was an assault at the Unicorn Skate Park where the camera previously was. The shame about that is Shropshire Council did request that the council that we remove the camera from there. I don't know if it was as part of their renovation works there with the skate park, where they for some reason have installed a sign at the end of a grind rail, I noticed. So if you grind it, you'll go straight in headfirst into a sign. So fantastic design work there by the team involved. So yeah, great. But them removing the camera from there has obviously then poses the question: should, if we have another one, does that give us options to cover more areas and keep them on the network if Shropshire Council would be minded? And setting up probably, as Councillor Kerr suggested, through the police partnership panel, having a system in place where we can talk directly to Shropshire Council about where as we're the local members, we understand the area better than anybody else. We know that we need a camera in position X, Y, or Z, and to be able to get permission quite easily, because to get the camera at Crestwood Court, to give you a little bit of an idea, first of all, Aaron did an awful lot of this work, but as he always does, we had to start off by getting the lamppost inspected to find out whether or not it was even capable of holding the weight of the camera, which meant getting the weight and the dimensions of the camera and everything. Then that had to be put up. Then a qualified engineer had to come out who had the certain credentials to then wire it in. And then there's all of the linking it to the CCTV stuff, and this has taken, and it's not through any sort of lack of effort, but it's taken months to get to the point where today the camera's gone live. That's an awful lot of fly tipping that's occurred during there. I've been having updates from residents over the last several months. I've been down there regularly and seeing all these new things arriving, and it causes quite a lot of hate speech and things like that as well that's been around here. Something that I really, really don't like to see is that a lot of it's being attributed to foreign residents, when the reality is you go down there and there's commercial waste from local building trades and things, because there's whole bathrooms that have been ripped out and put down there. There's astroturf, there's offcuts of carpet. It's coming from all over the place. Residents are reporting from all over town. So we really need to try and button this up, and we need some mechanisms to do that. So yeah, first recommendation. I don't know if I as a notice of motion, or that we can purchase a second camera. If there's a seconder, then great. And then Councillor Kerr's suggestion of going through the police partnership panel to establish more mechanics to make this more functional in the future, because it has been a process, to say the least.
Any issues with that, Aaron?
No, I think I'm confident. I'm confident the process. You have to follow a code of practice. There has to be valid reasons for CCTV to go up. We have got a second camera, a second operational camera, but that's been in the location for so long, it's almost a permanent camera, and that's on Oak Street, and for various reasons that's the right place for that camera to be.
That's that one.
Yeah,
that
is a mobile.
Was our mobile.
It is a mobile.
I got that one put in there.
Yeah. No, but
no, I didn't.
But it's not mobile. It's permanently mobile. No, but it is almost a permanent camera. There is a third, but it's broken and it needs to be replaced. So yeah, I think I'm happy to take those actions forward with member support. Clearly, the input into where CCTV goes has to sit outside a political arena, because it has to be based on evidence. However, the guidance and input from community leaders into that process is important. So that's the police partnership panel is the right place for that to happen. Yeah, good. So I'm happy to take those actions forward, but you might want to vote on them.
Yeah. Sorry, Councillor Maguire. Yeah.
I just second Jay's motion, because it does appear that since that camera's been removed, then things have assipated there. It's, we've had the little lad that was beaten up and kicked off his bike. Wasn't very nice. Wasn't very nice at all.
No.
But obviously there's the litter, there's the antisocial behaviour. There is other issues down there that I know that the police are aware of, and that camera was there deterring it to a degree, but not fully deterring it. So I would support Councillor Moore's motion to look to buy what looks to be a third one now then. But what I would ask is, when we do look at it, it's am I right in saying that the one that was on in the skate park, you could only gain access from it by standing near it to download it? It wasn't Wi-Fi. So am I right or wrong in that? Yeah, so I'm right. So that was obviously became an issue, because people would come to me complaining of this, that, and the other, and then you'd have to try and obviously download it, and it's not as instant, is it, as perhaps just reporting it and then it's being monitored constantly. If it's monitored constantly, people are less likely to cause trouble. If it's not monitored, people think they can get away with it.
Yeah, I think we're just slightly going off trail on this one a little bit. But I would just add, fundamentally important, it's the landowner's responsibility to manage those situations and request that CCTV goes in, not the town council's role to say you should be putting CCTV in, and they have to take ownership of management of their land.
An email has been sent to Shropshire Council requesting a permanent camera.
I'd be pleased to see that and for them to fund it.
Yeah. Councillor Moore, sorry, quickly.
Yeah, I think that that is one of the issues, isn't it? The Shropshire Council is requesting that camera was taken away, and we need to be able to sort of follow that up. So why was it requested to be taken away, and is there plans to replace it? Because there was clearly a need for it in that location. So yeah, that would be a bit of information I'd be interested in hearing for sure. But I think the other thing, unfortunately, whether or not the clerk can look into, so with this system now, as Councillor Maguire was saying, that information is then downloaded from that camera. I don't think that's necessarily something that should have gone out into the public field, because now when I go there and commit a crime, I'm just going to smash the camera and you're not going to be able to download anything off of it. It's not a sensible thing to have said. So I think that now we're going to need to look at getting another camera that can beam that signal somewhere else to ensure that, if we are going to put one there, that these cameras aren't run off of a downloading system, because we've just given up the ghost, haven't we?
Well,
I think probably best to draw this conclusion to
shall we vote on the proposal and do what we can? Because I think it's all to do with line of sight and things, isn't it, with these cameras? So, oh, sorry, Councillor Rose.
I'm quite happy. I'm going to support this, but I am a little bit worried with Crestwood Court, which is it's owned by a set of private landlords who are renting out those properties, and so I've got some concerns that we put CTV there. They've already got 2 CTV cameras that have been there for ages, that presumably put up. They're not live. So they've got the same situation. They'd have to download it and then pass it on to people. So if they're, it's their responsibility to do it. So I'm a bit wary of the town council becoming almost like the police. We can't sort out all problems by putting CTV cameras up everywhere, and particularly on private land when they should be. There are some enforcement measures that sort of can be put on those landlords to deal with the problem, which seem to have not been done. It's.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Okay. Right. Well, we've had a proposal. We've had it seconded. All those in favour? Thank you. And back to the report. I'm happy to move the recommendations, including the. Sorry, Councillor Upton.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I was going to speak on the item about St Oswald's Well.
Right.
So, I'm quite pleased to see that some recommendations have been made. I'm sorry to hear about the picnic bench not going the way it has, because I remember getting that installed myself, with thanks to the officers. I would highly recommend that councillors take this into consideration, because we need to do anything we can to improve our town's history and to bring people into the pub, into this town.
Thank you. Sorry, Councillor Jones, I didn't realise.
Yeah, can I ask about C7, improving accessibility to the Guildhall? Obviously, that was one of the key things that we brought into one of our first things that we try and think very positively about disabled people and things like that. Have we done enough to make what is our plan to make it more accessible? Because it is an old building. I know it's difficult, but I think we need to keep trying, don't we?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm pleased you raised it, especially today, as Henry and I have been talking about. The main issue is the front steps. Yeah. So we've actioned electrician, or will be actioning an electrician to look at that. And we are looking at how we install rails down either side. We do believe we probably need listed building consent to do that, so we're just considering the options. And one of the key actions was that I used to forget to open the back door, you know, the accessible entrance into the building. And I've, you know, I have made sure I'm doing that now.
Set a reminder on your phone or something.
No, I just learnt behaviour.
Okay. Yeah, thank you, Councillor Jones, for raising that. So yeah, happy to move the recommendations, including the £500 budget for In Bloom for the Oswald Well improvements. Do I have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Coburn. All in favour? Thank you very much. Okay, 9B, Post Office verbal update.
Yeah, this is a standing item on the agenda. I've nothing to add. However, we are obviously waiting to see the outcome of the public consultation. And one of the things you'll see later on in the agenda is that I will be asking for you to give me delegated powers, should I need them, to respond to that. I'll obviously do it with your guidance, but I need able to respond. I'll need delegated powers. But yeah, nothing updates at this point, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. So item 10 then, report from the clerk on and the operations manager on the LED replacement contract for the street lights. Yeah, I'll let you introduce this one.
Yeah, not a great deal to add to the report on this case. You'll have noted that once we've informed the successful and unsuccessful contractors, there's been a challenge, which is right. It's part of a fair process. They have provided evidence that they told us that they had two £5 million policies. Yeah, and that, you know, and that's up there. So with that in mind, we've reevaluated the process, and there's a clear recommendation there for you to consider.
Thank you. Any comments, questions, or proposals, Councillor Davis?
Yeah, I would recommend we go with the option suggested. I've looked through it, looked at the weighting and various other things with it, and apart from it being a little bit cheaper, it obviously seems to be the best one because it's ticking all the boxes.
Thank you. That's been proposed. Is there a seconder? Councillor Owen? Thank you. Any further comments, questions? No. All those in favour then? Any against? Abstentions? Thank you. Item 11, delegation to the clerk.
I'm hoping that this isn't needed, but as we don't meet in April, and with the imminent election, it's always best to err on the side of caution. I am therefore sort of asking you to trust me to respond to certain scenarios, which I would do ordinarily anyhow, but there are some significant issues that may emerge over the next month or so. For example, the post office consultation and the outcome from that. I won't be able to call a meeting, so I might need to deal with that, but it's obviously in line with current policy. Highways matters, such as the one you've had on the agenda this evening, would probably be done via email rather than bringing to a meeting. And importantly, I'll need to be able to conclude any urgent matters on leases and to conclude any potential agreements with external funders, because we're obviously waiting to hear back from the National Lottery regarding Third Mansion. So, yeah, I think it's standard to ask for this delegation. Obviously, it'll be done with due diligence. It will be evidence, and I will be required to report it to the new council, I believe.
Councillor Davis.
Yeah, I'm happy with all that. Just a question, really. Authorise urgent expenditure. Should there be a cap or a figure on that? I know we trust Aaron, but are we leaving ourselves a little bit open from an audit kind of point of view if we didn't have something on that? Just a question. I don't know.
Sorry, I've got delegated powers to spend up to £10,000 on matters which are sort of health and safety related. So I'll be happy with a cap on that point. You know, I'd be nervous going beyond that anyway. Should that need to be changed, I'll obviously have to try and find a way of doing so. But I can't anticipate any urgent matters that you haven't already agreed at this stage. We obviously don't want to be spending money making decisions without your involvement and backing anyway. happy with
true.
that.
So,
£10,000, yeah.
happy with the £10,000 cap. Anything else anyone wishes to add? We're all happy to let Aaron keep the show on the road? Yeah, I guess so. Thank you. Seconded. All in favour? Sorry. Go.
With the post office consultation, will it be shared with members when you're sending it, so that it's not just a sort of hidden conversation? As in, like, if you had to respond on our behalf, just make sure that we're kept in the loop on that.
Absolutely, and obviously depends on the outcome. I may ask for your view informally via email anyway and try and incorporate that into them, but obviously I can't bring it to a meeting for an opinion. You have got a policy stance, so I've got a general set of rules that I'm working to anyway, so yeah, but absolutely couldn't send anything on. You obviously have to be mindful how you use that.
Okay, so with that in mind, once again, all in favour? Thank you very much. Okay, and item 12, reports from the Finance Officer attached. So, any comments, questions, or I move we adopt? Thank you. All in favour? Thank you. And same with the analysis of market income. Yeah, slightly down, slightly downward trend, unfortunately, but I think there's plans, isn't there, later on in a report. So, move we note those. All in favour? Oh, sorry, Councillor.
So it's a matter of it has gone down, but it was Q3, which I think we all know is very wet, and well, it was very wet. We all lived through it. It's a matter of so I feel like while it's gone down, it's probably there are reasons behind it, and therefore it's not necessarily showing that the market's declining massively. So
yeah, no, valid point. Okay, all in favour again. Thank you. Item 13 then, reports from the Operations Manager. Over to you, Henry.
Thank you very much. So within the status reports, there are 4 items. Two are for noting, one's a recommendation and one's asking whether or not you wish to proceed. So the first one is asset management. So back in January, within the state report then, Council were notified that we were looking at the option of introducing asset management software to assist with the day-to-day running of the Council's assets. I've put in this report a long list of advantages in having such a system in place. I have also met with the company this afternoon just to iron out a few minor details, and they've been very open in tailoring the software to best suit our needs as well, should we need to. So there is an initial startup process with this. Unfortunately, that means I'll be doing a lot of work should you wish to approve this, with the process being about 3 months to get all the assets logged, as council have a lot of assets, everything down to a table. So all there's no more information really that I can share that's not already within that section of the report. I don't know if you want to do one by one.
Yeah. We're on 13A, yeah, estate report. 43, 40, 25. Hang on. Yes, please.
It is. You are on it.
Yeah, because that one says 24. I don't know if that's a typo.
Yes, probably.
Oh, right, okay. That's yeah.
It is that report.
It is that one. Right, thank you very much. Yeah, okay, so we've had a fallen tree in Kyglass Park. I think we've all noticed that. Quite sad, really. It was quite a mature specimen, wasn't it? Yeah, okay, so if you can take us through it item by item, I think that would be helpful to me.
So the fallen tree, we'll come back to it. So the fallen tree in Kyglass Park, we met with the local arboricultural consultant, who have also spoken with his colleagues within the industry as well, and there is a recommendation, unfortunately, to have the tree removed. The tree is diseased, and the fungus will continue to spread throughout the tree, so any carvings that would be made wouldn't be long-standing, unfortunately. So the recommendation is to have the tree fully removed, make right the pathway, and then also then plant a new suitable tree in its place, which we would have to do anyway.
Okay, thank you very much. Any comments on that one? No. The next recommendation then is to note the update on Gattaca allotments.
I met with the chairperson of the Gattaca Allotments Committee. There are 53 current residents on the waiting list for an allotment, some of which have been on since March 2022. So they've been waiting a very long time. Over the last 12 months, officers have been inspecting the plots, and it's come apparent that those that have sort of the larger plots are struggling to maintain them for whatever reason. So following discussions, recommended doing a trial period of reducing the vacant full-size plots into 2 smaller plots and then allocate them out to those that are on the waiting list. What that does, it reduces the waiting list, offers more people the opportunity to have a plot, and then obviously in turn generate more income for the council. The view would then be, should this be successful, any future plots that are vacated would then reduce to 2 smaller plots to be allocated out.
Thank you. Councillor Kerr.
The obvious question, if they're going to get a half plot, do they pay a half rent, or you say increase the income? So how does that work?
So the cost for a full plot is £64 currently, and a half plot is 38.
Okay. Councillor Upton.
Thank you. Do you have at hand how many plots that would likely create as a result?
So at present, there are 2 half plots vacant and 2 large plots vacant, so we would have an additional 6 plot holders coming to hopefully this April.
And I think one of the positives to take is that it'll clearly improve the productivity of the land as well. Yeah, more people, more veggies being grown, so I think it's all a good thing. And lastly, the storage containers.
Storage of equipment is becoming a bigger issue week by week with day-to-day operation, and we have been looking at some options. There are some quick fixes or quick wins as such. One option is to purchase storage containers, which can be used to store equipment, which can be located at the park and also the rear of the indoor market. Obviously, a shipping container doesn't look aesthetically pleasing to the eye, so anything that does get put in place would have a fence around it to make it a bit more aesthetically pleasing. But we are looking for communicating with planning to see if we would need planning permission to do so, and then obviously if we did, we would then need to go through that consultation. There is an option with team tennis. You mentioned that. Yep. With obviously team tennis, that there is with their design, there is an element of land that wouldn't be used. So for the park, for example, that the container or an area for storage can go there as well. So it's just a bit of an update really to let you know what we're doing to try and tackle the storage issue that we've got currently.
Okay.
Just to add to that, if I can, currently on that, it is exploring options. There's no decision being made. We will obviously come back to you with a proper request. I can sense members being nervous about the storage containers because a few hands went up straight away.
I'm just hearing recycling bins floating through Councillor Moore's mind. Councillor Owen, though, I had first.
The first thing was just a query once I finished talking of what's being stored in them to get an idea of how large the storage container is going to be. The second thing is just even fenced in it's quite a prominent place next to the market. I feel like it doesn't look good for residents. We should be looking at the other alternatives over storage containers. Like if it's a last resort and we've not got any other options, we could look at it, but I feel like it is more important to look at any other option first rather than spending a cheap amount just to get storage out of the way.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, if it's okay, just
yeah, sure.
Respond. I'll just take those comments on board. We have been looking for a long time and have been really struggling with storage. We've pursued a number of options, including trying to purchase town centre property. Had a visit round Castle View the other week to see if there was any space in the old Wilkos development, but it is proving to be an issue. I think what we may need to do is to say we've got an immediate problem. We'll have these storage, if the way forward for the short term, a time-bound time, and so, you know, puts the pressure onto councillors to make a decision on longer term. Clearly, all this is linked to what happens in the future and the services that we may be involved with. But you know, we are struggling for storage and welfare facilities for our teams with very limited options.
And just to answer the question regarding what we're storing, the largest item is probably the easiest way to go. The largest item would be the ride-on lawn mower. That's the largest item that would be stored in these containers, to give you an idea of sort of size.
Thank you. I've got Councillor Moore and Councillor Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Looking at the storage containers, I assume you're sort of looking probably, what, 20-foot, 40-foot containers, sort of standard sort of size. Is there any reason why we wouldn't look at kit-built sheds? You know, there's a lot of sort of prefab sheds and things like that look a lot nicer. They're solid, aren't they? I mean, I think price-wise, I mean, sort of, you're looking at thousands at either end, whether it's a container or a shed. So I'm not sure. A couple of grand on a 20-foot shed anyway, because I was looking at one for my garden not too long ago. But we'd probably need something a bit more robust than I was thinking for my gardening things. But there's got to be something along those lines that's going to be a lot more aesthetically pleasing than the sort of steel box that has got people nervous. Some of them look really nice, to be fair.
When we come back to you, we can look at that as
A range of options. Councillor Jones?
Same lines as Councillor Moore, can we get it wood clad or something like that, make it a bit more aesthetically pleasing, or put a Banksy on it or something like that, or whatever we need to do?
As long as I don't have to build it, Jay. Councillor Davis.
Yeah, I mean, a container, you've got security, haven't you? If you had a shed or something else, it's easy to get into and do something with. As Councillor Jones said, you can get all sorts of wood, plastic effect cladding on these containers now, and they just blend in, you don't really know they're there. So
yeah,
I think a container with some sort of covering would be a better option.
Okay, yeah, I'm sure all these things will be looked at. Councillor Kerr?
Just in terms of looking ugly, I mean, the bins on the Horse Market car park look ugly anyway, so would there be any opportunity to bring a storage container and the bins all together into one place and screen that place as a corner? Because, you know, you've got ugly things out there anyway. I don't actually per se have a problem with a shipping container, but I think you can actually then screen it all into the corner with the bins and everything's moved out of the way then.
Yeah. Okay.
Councillor Rose.
Oh, sorry, Councillor Rose, in my blind spot, yeah. Off you go.
Yes, shipping containers have become quite popular in various places, haven't they? They're being used for cafes and all sorts of cool things down in Bristol and Manchester, and they can look nice if they're painted. So,
yeah.
Green if it's in the park. Or,
yeah, sort of industrial, brutalist sort of chic. Yeah. Okay.
Just go through the recommendations.
Yeah. Recommendation then to approve the use of asset management software, to note the recommendation to remove the fallen tree, to note the update on the category allotments, and to note the update on storage. Okay, thank you. All in favour? Marvellous. Right. Moving on. Oh, 13B, public loose cleaning.
I've got two reports this month. There's not much to add in addition to what's already in the report. We followed a robust procurement exercise. 12 tenders in total were submitted. All the scoring matrix is within the report for members to see. There are three highest scoring companies were then further analysed, which again the detailed information is on the report, with a clear recommendation of the company to carry out the work.
Thank you. Thanks for bringing that to us. It seems it's all been followed in accordance with our tendering policies. Does anyone have any questions, comments, or proposals? Councillor Coburn, are you seconding or asking?
I was going to ask a question. Just because it's so close between the top two, are you going to have any communications with the runners-up, or in case things don't work out with the first people, or is it just proceed with company 5 on that basis?
Yeah, I think I think the report highlights that there are a couple of checks that we need to carry out with Company 5 just to make sure that their pricing is correct, because it is slightly different to number 2 and how they've set it out. Yeah, I think clearly we'll speak to number 5 first and then open up dialogue with the others if needed. And we'll tell them where they are in the process as well.
Okay, Councillor Owen.
Again, it's just a question of the previous experience with a 75% weight. This one has 25. Is that really an issue? Like, obviously, the second one is 50 out of 75, so it seems quite low in comparison. I was just querying basically what has constituted it to be so low below the experience and recommendation, because it's quite a high weighted aspect of it. So it is, as Councillor Coburn said, sorry for bashing your laptop, it is quite marginal when it comes to experience. The one's higher experience but more expensive.
There is a little bit about how it's set out. What I can reassure you is that the company, so we've obviously checked through and done our due diligence on this. They are an established organisation. This is their day job as well. Yeah, I don't know if there's anything else you can add to that. I think we're confident that either 1, 2 or 3 could do a good job for us.
Yeah.
Is a lot long and short of it.
The difference under the tender analysis with the quality assessment for Company 2, full references were provided on behalf of the company. So the company went out and sought the references to provide part of the tender analysis or tender pack. As you can see from the scoring, they were the only company to do so, which is why they scored higher, because they actually sought out the references on, rather than saving me the job of doing it as such. Although I would obviously do again if needed.
Sorry.
Yeah, can you tell me what the money means? Is it per month or
per week?
So the costs are comparable. There's not much between what we're currently paying and this. There's a little bit in it, but not massive. Public toilets cost you in the region of, well, excluding the market and here, around £25,000 a year to provide, to clean. You know, yeah, and that's a fairly a good service that you provide. You can obviously change your service and clean them less frequently, but I think, yeah, we obviously don't. This includes the park and English walls, so you don't charge at the park.
Perhaps we should run some ads, try and up the usage in the ones that cost 20p.
Perhaps tonight's not the best time to raise that one.
No. Right. Okay. So the recommendation then is to go with company number 5. Happy to propose that. Is there a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Davis. And all in favour? Thank you. That was what we needed to do, wasn't it? Okay, item 14 then, report. Is that right?
Yeah. No, I've forgotten. I've gone into private sector.
No. We've got the markets and events. Yeah, which has. Oh, sorry. Can you just talk us through the important bits?
Very quickly, as you've probably gathered, we are wanting to focus on the attracting new traders to the outdoor market. Those of you who've been into town on a Saturday recently will have seen some of that. What I want to do is just update you with some plans, which includes the Young Traders Market in June this year. So that's the first time that we've held that market, and the whole idea is to attract them here for the first time and then try and keep them here. Hopefully they'll have a good day. There are some new traders that we have, but the main part of the recommendation is just is to ask you to consider
introducing themed markets
Yeah.
to Oswald Street to bring additionality to the traditional Saturday market. Yeah, just try and reinvigorate it a little bit, bring something different. Yeah, note the events programme and consider arrangements for Christmas music live and the plan to reintroduce the skate rink. I mean, I think what's amazing is the number of events that actually go on up at the market. It's not short of events, but clearly we need to just try and shake up that offer a little bit.
Yeah, and it's important, sorry, and I'm really glad you reminded me on the Christmas Music Live. At the end of Christmas Music Live, we tend to set off fireworks. I don't know if you're aware of that, but we do. It comes at a cost of £2,000. The proposal is that we don't do that this year, and that we reintroduce the ice skate rink on Festival Square, because that has a wider appeal. And it's better. We feel it's better use of the money. This is a massive milestone in this events history, and we want to make sure we do a really good job this year. So yeah, that's a proposal. I think with the fireworks, just to add some context, it's generally hidden behind fairground rides. I think people do see it, but I don't think it has the impact of £2,000.
Okay, any thoughts? Anything people want to raise? Yeah. Yeah. The ice rink, yeah. Councillor Jones.
It's a long list of events that, in a town that nothing happens. It's absolutely astonishing, isn't it, that what we do and the things, it just bewilders me how people can say nothing goes on in Oswestry and it's terrible. I mean, we just need, I don't know if there's any press on, but we just need to get this thing PR'd a bit more maybe, but I'm not sure what we can do. You can slap them in the face with a wet kipper, they still don't know what goes on. So, but well done to the events organised and things that go on in the town.
No, thank you for that. Yeah. Is there any more detail on the new additions to the Saturday market?
Yeah. We're still in discussions with some operators. So I have spoken to an artisan or craft market company. We have secured a vegan market, which will be coming in November. Should you agree? Street food. So it's basically every month. I missed that, I think, and I think I'm glad I did. I think the idea is to have it operating along Cross Street, so it feels as part of the traditional, feels part of the market, slightly different branding, and the aim is for it to be cost neutral and not, but obviously not to make money, recognising that the organisers they need to make some money on that as well. So has the support of the markets manager. Just I haven't forced it upon him. Yeah, they're really positive, and partly because it gives traders a different platform as well. Our existing traders can then see what's possible and go and trade in different parts of the country as well. So I think it opens up some real nice opportunities there.
Lovely. Sorry. No, thank you. So I move those recommendations in the report. Can I have a seconder? Thank you very much, Councillor Rose. All in favour? Thank you very much. Any against? Any abstentions? No. Right. Now then, we come to item 15, which is the exclusion of public and press. Do I have to read it out?
You have to move it.
Okay, I'll move that we exclude the public and press.